Hi everyone, Sailor Moon, Tuxedo Mask, and today we're going to talk about Dawn West, who I think died yesterday. Well, WWE said it yesterday, so yeah. Anyway, what do we know about the former play-by-play caller and TNA IW Dawn West? Well, he was in IW for many years. He may have been there for at least half of those 20 years. He was probably more known for TNA IW followers for working with Mike Today, because he worked with Mike Today for at least starting from 2002 YL to about 2009 YL. And then after that, Taz would come in, and Elijah Burke, and then finally Eric, and then Al Snow and Sensei Dutt and Don Covens and and then Madison Rain, and then followed by D'Lo Brown and Aiden English. He would also work with Jeremy Boraz before Taz, Elijah Burke, Al Snow, Sensei Dutt, Don Covens, Madison Rain, D'Lo Brown, and Aiden English would. So anyway, he was one of those very few folks that never went to WWE. I mean, his name never came up as someone that WWE wanted to get, And it's sad because I think that Dawn West would have done well in WWE. I don't know. I think if Dawn West came to WWE now under the new leadership, I think he would work very well. But I think if he came to WWE under the old leadership, I don't think he would have worked very well. Because I think the way that Dixie Carter and Jeff Jarrett handled the play-by-play work would have not been the same way that Vince McMahon and Kevin Dunn would have handled it at the time. So I think that Hunter Helmsley, Kevin Dunn, and Brother Love would have been more kinder to Dawn West, and Dawn West's time in WWE now would have been more good than Dawn West if he came to WWE when Vince McMahon and Kevin Dunn and Brother Love were handling at the time. I don't know if Dawn West could have handled Vince McMahon yelling in his ear about shit. I don't really think he could. But it's sad. Dawn West never did come to WWE. He spent all his time in TNAW, now IW, either doing play-by-play work with either Mike Today and Jeremy Boraz, or handling their shop offshoot, which he did on and off for years, like that was his thing. He came from that background before he even got into wrestling, so that was his thing. And Dawn West will be missed. And how do we even know about Dawn West dying was that WWE said something yesterday on Friday Night SmackDown. You're right, Sailor Moon. For 20 long years, TNAW, or now IW, has been asking WWE to talk about them, to work with them. And this year it happened. Yes, it was a one-off when Mickie James went in the women's kingly loudness, and now talking about Dawn West working in IW. So IW had a yield of about 20 years just to get those two little things from WWE. Will WWE do more things with IW next year? I don't know. But it was a start. And most of the time, WWE wouldn't talk about any other wrestling business unless it was one they worked with, and even then they probably wouldn't talk about it. So talking about Dawn West would have been something WWE would have talked about, but at the end of the day they wouldn't have said what wrestling business he worked for. So yeah. And I know that when it comes to play-by-play callers dying over the years, I couldn't make films on Gordon Solie because YouTube wasn't around back then to talk about Gordon Solie. And when Lee Marshall died, I forgot to make a film on it. I don't know why. You know, yeah, but I did talk about when Gene Okerlund and Harold Finkel and Lance Russell died, so I guess we'll put Don West on that list. So anyway, Don West is up in heaven now with God and Jesus now. He's at rest now. He's a good stead. He'll be missed. I feel sorry and sad for his kin and friends and half-workers, everyone who knew him. You know, he was a good man. He did good work with play-by-play calling, or at least calling the holds, talking about the holds after they'd been called. You know, he spent most of his time working with Mike Today and Jeremy Boraz. He didn't work with Joss Matthews or Matt Stryker at all. He didn't work with Tom Phillips at all. So your guess is good as mine. He didn't really work with those two. And they came in about 20 years later. And he didn't work with any of them. Anyway, so sorry to hear that. You know. So anyway, it is what it is. And if you like this film, alright, back to you, Sailor Moon. Well, you're right, Tuxedo Mask. If you like this film, then follow us over here at Sailor Moon for Life. Watch the last film we made yesterday over here, with Sailor Earth talking about why we don't make shorts. I, Sailor Moon, I, Tuxedo Mask. You know, we'll see you later. Bye. And you leave me to end my film, like always.